Okay, everyone, welcome back another week. Today I'm by myself in the studio, but that doesn't mean that I'm by myself on this interview. So we've been going week by week by week, and I always say, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, we appreciate you for tuning in. So today I have with me someone. I'm actually very excited. I love always talking to like people where it's like I kind of seen them growing up, or I got to follow what they were doing, even though this person went to my rival high school, and I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be interviewing this person. I think that my alumni would feel some type of, but it's okay. So I'm going to be talking to Chris Randle. He just happens to be from the same hometown that I'm from, but he's done so many amazing things since graduating from high school. He's a professional athlete. He's actually a free agent right now. He plays in the CFL, and he's going. I can't see him right now, but he's off the screen, so he will correct me if I got that wrong. But outside of playing football, which to me is always the greater part of it, he's also a real estate agent and a youth mentor. So we're going to be talking today about a lot of things, but I don't want to talk about them by myself. So we're going to invite him into the conversation. I'm about to put him up on the screen now. You guys know I'm so slow with my transition. But that's like how I'm about to I need to get one of the like little actual like noise makers.
Yeah, like sirens or something.
Yeah, so like when I like bring people in, it's like you can actually like get excited.
Yeah, it's like it's game time. Yeah, it's like an intro, like the intro for when you come out to the game.
Game time, no hamstrings though. Like, no pulled hamstrings.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Regular game time. So how are you?
I'm doing well, doing well.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me today. Appreciate it.
No, for sure. Thank you for taking your time and, getting the time zones right. Well, first, I want to talk to you about like, of course, we want to talk about the concept of like sports and the mindset our parents give us. And, we're both from like the same kind of town. We're both from a small town. And when you're like, even anyone else who might be from like a small or big town, no matter if you're from small or big, most Black, and I don't even want to say most because, I am. Most Black parents push sports on their kids, right? Were sports pushed on you?
I would say it was actually a gift for me to be able to have that as an outlet, just based on my circumstances. Being raised in Oakland, California, most of my cousins and my brothers, they had a different experience to me by not having sports, and that's a path I probably could have took. And I think being able to be in that environment, being in an area or in a situation where I was able to learn about myself and learn about other people and grow and do something I enjoy doing. So at one point it was introduced, but I would never say it was forced.
Let's back up because I feel like with me, I get so excited with like just going straight into like conversation that I always be like, I bet people be like, Kira, who is this nigga? Like he didn't even get into the gist of like who he is and what he's done in sports and why he even can have this conversation with you about sports and about the male voice in sports. So like Chris, I mean, you left high school. I know you went to Utah State to play, right? If I can remember, like from Merced, what's it called, the Merced Sunstar.
But there you go. Yeah.
So you went to Utah and then you went to play for the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
And then from the Cowboys, you went into the CFL. So how was that moment? And I want to know how that moment was for your mother, because I feel like it is a mother's dream for her child to go into the NFL. So how was that moment for your mother when you told her that you were going to be playing for the Cowboys?
Man, it was surreal, honestly, because it's always been a thought. It's always been a dream for the moment to actually come and be there. It was like, it was kind of hard to describe or explain, but it was definitely, it made the journey to getting there all worth it, and made all the hard nights that, you're away from your family in Utah worth it, and makes all the studying to get your degree, to qualify and make that time worth it, and train for the pro day and all those things you do from an individual basis. She installed a lot of principles in me. So for us to both have that moment, it a pretty dope moment to share.
Yeah. Do you remember the first words that came out of her mouth?
Not off the top of my head. I just
20 years
know,
ago.
like for me, exactly, it's not that long. I just feel like it's a bunch of emotions, because actually the draft came and went. So when I had came out, it was the lockout year. So actually, the draft had happened, and then after the draft, there was a shut off from all communications from if you got drafted, you was in communication with your team, or you had an idea of what you were going to do, but you were not in communication with your team
Yeah.
because they were just figuring out a new collective bargain agreement. And if you were not drafted, in my case, you didn't hear anything. So I didn't know what my future was for at least 2 months. And not to mention, we missed OTAs, rookie mini camp, all these things that introduce you to the NFL to get you acclimated. We missed. So it was like 2 months where I just had graduated, planned on going to the NFL from graduation, but then went home and I'm with my mom and she's seeing me like kind of go through it a little bit. Like, what am I like? Am I going to make it? Like, I got an agent. He's telling me I'm gonna be fine and all these things. But it's like I felt like I was so much better than the people that were getting selected, whatever. I think everyone should feel that way about themselves. But I just was like wondering so many things, and for her to see me in that state, she was just motivating me and encouraging me. And then it was just like, he was right, So it was like when I got the call and everything settled down, the lockout ended. She's like, I knew it. I guess I say, I knew you were going to make it. I knew you'd be great. Some things like that. Just, she's always been a positive, just always pushing me to think positive things. And that's kind of just been my motto since I see it in action. Me going in the tank or me worrying about all these things that are not in my control didn't really help the situation much. You feel me? So my mom always had that hindsight, and pretty much one of the words would be like, "I knew you would do it," something like that.
All right. Bet. Like Demar, your brother went through that process not too long ago, right?
Yeah, he actually did. He actually went through the exact same process, which I kind of want to ask you about that. Well, first off, starting off, how long did you play for?
So I played for Dallas for 6 weeks in a sense with the practice squad and then the training camps and then got released. Worked out for Chicago Bears, worked out for Seattle Seahawks, 49ers. Was going to be invited to the training camp for the Bears the following season, but then got a contract offer in Canada that same season. So from 2012 to just last season, I've been in Canada. So for the past 8 years, I've been in Canada and then that 1 year in Dallas, so 9 years pro.
When you got drafted, you said it was the lockout going on. Do you feel like that lockout dampened your opportunities just a tad bit? You know what I mean?
I would say, yeah, I would say I was at a disadvantage just based on the situation too in Dallas. That's it's a new game, honestly. When you go from college to NFL, it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to adjust to. The speed is different. The scheme is different. The stakes are higher. You really don't have the room for error is very small. So every opportunity you get really does matter. But at the same time, it allows you really just got to make the most of what's given at the end of the day. I would say that's all you can really account for. I don't know because I'm looking at these kids from last year who had the COVID situation who came out of college. They had nothing. They didn't have a pro day. They didn't have, it was pretty sad to see. But some of those kids are still making it. Some of those kids are still fighting. Everybody's situation is kind of different. It's just a matter of, like you said, the opportunities do matter. I let that fuel me more so than I let it deter me. So I would say, yeah, I learned a lot from that because one of the things I learned from being cut by Dallas was special teams. This is also football right here.
Listen, no, look, teams. I'm absorbing the process. I have something for you in a second, but I'm absorbing the process. I'm seeing how it works.
For sure. No, special teams is it's a 3 phases to the game: offense, defense, and special teams. Me in college, mainly defensive player. I was one of the better defensive players, so I wasn't really put on special teams. I got to NFL. If you go to NFL, you go and play special teams, especially if you're an undrafted free agent. And that's something I had to get used to, and I didn't really acclimate to it. But then once I got my opportunity in Canada, one thing on my mind, first day, first practice, first meeting was special teams. Like I had to learn that in order for me to take advantage of my opportunity. But that just goes to say, like, the reps you get, the opportunities you get, they all allow you to grow and be better. So him missing that probably did, knock him down a little bit, but I wouldn't say that's the end of the fight.
I feel like this is like one aspect of like football, NFL that you like don't get to hear about is what happens after the draft. Like those couple weeks where like you'll see someone who got drafted to this team or that team, but then like you don't see them when the season starts. Then you're like, okay, but what happened in between time? But no one ever says what happened and how that process works and mentally what you had to do to keep going so that you could eventually get to your blessing. Like,
I mean, it was tough too, though. Like I had football in my life for 10 years and not having football after Dallas, I really was young. It was different. I was out there I was feeling all type of emotions and didn't really know how to handle it. I didn't have an outlet for real. So I was really, I was kind of low key lost for like, I would say like 2-3 months. Didn't really understand what to do, where to put this energy, or, I mean? I was like, I was doing reckless stuff, but it would help me to get back to the youth. I have a major in sociology, minor in HR, and when I got released from Dallas, I got a job at a group home, and I kind of just was able to help with those kids and kind of help them with their real life issues. And I'm worrying about what, my feelings per se didn't really amount to some of the issues that some of these kids are dealing with, and that kind of helped me cope with it a little bit.
What made you get a degree outside of what's the one that all the basketball players, oh my goodness, every basketball player at my college had the same degree. It was called
sports, like interdisciplinary studies or something like that.
Sports discipline, sports fitness, sports, it was like that same one major. It's like they all was in the same classes together. But I used to always be like, well, none of you guys have like your own vision of like something outside of sports, but you did. So what do you think made that, and what do you think made your mindset have like something else?
Yeah, I'm a curious person by nature. I always want to know why things are the way they are. So just getting a sociology degree, I was able to figure out like why society is the way it is. It didn't really, overall thing is like no one person has control of anything, honestly, is what I took from it. But my whole vision or inspiration behind going to sociology was to figure out questions of our society, our day-to-day life, or how do we get to this point? And I'm minored in human resources because I wanted to be able to communicate that effectively as well to people. So that was my inspiration behind my major and my minor.
So then how do you feel about like this whole like shut up and dribble era that we're in? Like, have you ever been affected by it? I know in Canada, tensions are a little bit different than here, but have you ever felt the notion that people just want you to just shut up and catch the ball?
I think it's a business, right? So I think that aspect of it kind of has to be put to the forefront when you're getting microphones in front of your face and you represent an organization and their name is on your shirt. So you want to say the things that would make share their values as well. You want to respect that as well. And you want to stick to not necessarily just shut up and dribble, but if you're answering me an insight question, it's really you want to know in depth about the game. You want to know in depth about my position. You want to know in depth about my psychology of how I play this game. So when I answer questions, that's the space I come from. But then there's scenarios where, for example, in Canada, when Trayvon Martin or Mike, it was Trayvon Martin, and I had to be able to express how I felt at the same time, So it wasn't necessarily they were asking me that, but I was telling them that. So I think there's that line in what I want to tell, and when they're asking, that we have to be able to morph. We can't just be like you asking me, and me not telling you exactly how I'm feeling, or me even proposing the questions to you. Like when you see all these basketball athletes with education reform on their back. They're telling you to think about it. They're telling you to look at what I'm feeling per se and think about it. So if I'm going to express that, I feel like that's something that should be allowed. And not only just with social issues, I want to be able, I mean, the platform is for entertainment. I get that 100%, but we're not just entertainers. We are citizens of our community as well. So being able to bring attention to how I feel and what I apply myself in should all be morphed into one. That's what my thoughts are.
Yeah, do you feel like I don't know, like even when I see stuff like, well, I'll see like politicians like telling like LeBron to like, oh, why are you even talking about this? Like, why do you have these thoughts, these
Right.
opinions? And I'm just like, well, at the end of the day, these are still, for the most part, most athletes, very smart, intelligent people who have, have
100%.
experienced things and have thoughts and opinions, who have family members, who know someone who's been through something. And at the end of the day, they're still going to do their research, just like how you did your research. And just because they have a helmet on their head or they have a basketball in their hand, it doesn't make them less intelligent. I feel like it kind of makes the person who's telling that person to shut up less intelligent. Like,
I think that should be almost common knowledge at this point. Like that's how I feel about it. There's no one thing one person should be able to do. Like just from that perspective that you just shared, I think everyone should be acknowledging like, all right, why should he just have to shut up and dribble? I think that's one thing that people should do is just ask yourself the question. Like if something that raises your eyebrow, something makes you think, or something makes you feel some way, ask the question, why should he do that? Or why should that happen? And if your answers are valid and concerning, then you can have that opinion. That's fair, but that don't mean it's true, I think there's a lot of people at a certain generation that, like you said, if we rock the boat, your job is on the line at the end of the day, because you don't just represent yourself when you put on that jersey. You don't just represent your ideals, your belief, your community, even though your name does on the back. You still also represents that company. So having that business acumen and being in a position and able to do it. So a lot of these, and everybody ain't LeBron. You got people who's like on the bench, like, all right, you're replaceable if you're making noise. You know what I mean? Like
Isn't that
you
crazy to
are.
think though? That like
I mean, it
because you
is.
know
It
that you
is.
are replaceable, then you kind of have to diminish yourself a little bit so that you can like feed yourself and feed, because everyone doesn't realize in sports and stuff, everybody not making six figures. Some people are
Yeah.
making almost minimum wage. Like, I know some people who play overseas, and you like, well, just because I just happen to know like how the pay range works in different parts of the country, like people don't realize that. Yeah, I know some people get mad at certain athletes when they don't speak out or when they don't say stuff, but they don't realize that they're not getting paid what you think they're getting paid, bruh. Like these people have lives to maintain, and they have mortgages, multiple mortgages sometimes, and like, so I do get that aspect of it, but at the same time, sometimes do you ever feel like people don't understand that sometimes you just do need to just chill? And they shouldn't be offended by it. Do you ever feel like people need to just chill sometimes? Or is
I just think, there's so many different personalities in this game. There's so many different people in the world. So being able to articulate and express yourself, I think is actually important. I don't think your cause should ever be diminished. I think if you have a cause, you should always fight for it. And I think there's outlets and different platforms that you can use per se to express that. I don't think it always has to be on the forefront. Not everyone I know I have a nonprofit and I preach what I believe to my community and to the youth in my area.
Yeah.
That's not really for everybody, and it doesn't make your thoughts on me any more or less that you think I'm doing great by doing that, or you think that I should just shut up and dribble. It doesn't change what I believe or how I feel, and I think this day and age is actually more open to that idea of you're balancing both your community, your ambitions, and what you can do on a court or field. Whereas back in the day, there's no chance you can blur those lines. I would say Colin Kaepernick really did spark a lot of that type of opening, I guess, of the idea that athletes are more than just entertainers. I think that's something that had to be adjusted. I would say Muhammad Ali was one of the first ones, Jim Brown, Abdul, um, um, who else? I would say like a lot of athletes back in the day, you would have to be the mega star of your sport in order to carry that weight. But now it seems like even from not just the quarterback or not just LeBron's, everyone from the
Everybody
whole team
matters.
can have a voice
Yeah.
right now for sure. So I think
That's
that's
like,
actually a positive.
yeah, it's definitely more unity now. And even though, like, to me, I feel like
Yeah.
it sucks that it took for 2020 to happen for people to
Right.
find, and they still don't get it. Like, they still do not get
Right.
Colin Kaepernick's message. Or
Yeah.
they get it. They don't want to
Yeah, they do.
accept it. Like, that's
For
like
sure.
the real thing, is that they don't want to accept it. And because they don't want to accept it, they're still going to be ignorant, whatever. We'll let those people live in their being idiotness. But
Or education as well, right? They're not as
it's, you know
educated
what,
as they
honestly,
could be.
I feel like I'm to a point now where I feel like it's far beyond education now. Like, because there are certain people who just don't want to disbelieve the beliefs that they were taught. And so because
Yeah.
they do not want to take that out of their brain, they're going to always interpret information through the same lens. And because they're refusing
Yep.
to clean their lenses, that information is going to just keep coming in. And no matter which way you bring them the information, with how many angles and how many facts and how many whatever, they have the same lens. So they're going to be like, boop, nope. Still see it for
Right.
nope. Still what I think. Nope. And that's something that is internal. And we can't do anything about, things that are happening internally with people and their mindsets. Like,
Right.
So
I do agree with that.
I'm here to grab the kindergartners.
Right, for
Like,
sure.
I'm
And
trying
that's
to
where it
grab these
starts.
kindergartners because they're the next.
They got the biggest voice.
Yeah, and
They
you're
have the
grabbing
biggest
them.
voice, the youth right now. Yeah, for
What
sure.
would you say to any athlete who is in high school or middle school who may feel that, maybe they do want to speak up about issues or about things that are going on, but they kind of feel like they can't because they do have this brand, or even in, I don't know how, I know college, like pre-college, and sometimes the high school athletes who are really, really good get a lot of attention. But yeah, for those people who maybe they're like, I want to say stuff, but I don't know, bro. Like, like how should I move even in these levels?
I would say make that your cause. Don't just be doing it because you feel it. I would say I feel a lot of things I don't act upon. It's all about being responsible with what you're feeling. I think you have to research. You have to be educated in order to articulate what you're saying and have people understand what you're saying at the same time. So I feel like that would be the first step is understand what you want and why you're doing it. It's okay if you're doing it because it's the momentum, because you see it on Instagram. It's all right, now dig deeper than that before you go voice. And I think that's important. I don't think just because you have a platform, you have the right to say anything. No, because not everything you say is right. Now, I mean, everyone has an opinion. Everyone has an opinion. And I think there's platforms and places for opinions. But if you're trying to stand on something that you feel is right and you've done your due diligence about it, then continue to press forward regardless. I think there's different channels. I can teach you how to form an LLC, teach you how to form a nonprofit, teach you how to be able to use your own platform. Instagram is your own platform. Go ahead and grow it and reach to the people each one, reach one, teach one. It's more so helping the people next to you than it is trying to help everyone and having everyone hear you, So I think more so try to stand by it, live by it, understand why you're doing it, and help the person next to you, and then go from there.
Yeah. Damar, you have anything to add?
I do have a question just in terms of do we touch on him being real estate?
No, we didn't.
Okay. So I do want to ask because I hear in real estate all the time that sometimes the best agents are people who were once athletes. Do you agree to that? And if so, why?
Yeah, I do to somewhat. I'm an athlete. I'm in that position, so I feel you. I know there's a lot to the discipline aspect of the game that it comes with real estate because you are your own everything at this point. You run your own business, you're your own marketing, you're your own transaction coordinator. So you must be able to have a system in play when it comes to football or any sport per se. There's practice, there's film study, there's working out, there's the way you eat, there's how you recover from games, it's how you play the game as well. And I think I apply those same principles that I've learned from football practice and all the team aspects to real estate. So in order to generate business, you have to build your database. You have to be able to expand on your sphere of influence. And able to do that, you must contact them. You must let them know what you're doing in order for them to be able to help you. And with football, you must, if you want to be able to make plays in the game, you better be doing your ladders. You better be doing your footwork drills. You got to do that consistently. So I compare me making calls to people that I know to me doing ladders in order to me making plays in the game and benefit from it. So I think just the way I break it down, I almost do this with everything in life. I break it down to what I apply to football, and I apply those same principles to real estate as well. And I think it takes, I mean, we are independent contractors in football. You know, you are on a 1-year term, 2-year terms. So what you do in that 1 year, 2 year determines what you do the next year or how you will succeed that year. So in real estate, you are pretty much on a 1 year, 2 year term based on what you prove and what you build. So I think those same principles and the mindset I use for football kind of apply as well to real estate.
Are you first generation entrepreneur?
First generation for sure.
Damn. I have to get this bell. I have to. Tanya was, we just interviewed someone. I'm gonna get it. Like, I'm gonna find it. It's just like, because it's a certain noise that I want it to make.
What does it sound like? It's like
You
I
know,
see
like
the
when you put the
motion. I
Jamaican
just
puzzle
don't
in
know
the
what it sounds like.
yeah, like I want
Okay.
that. Like so we can throw
Okay.
our lighters up and like tap the floor and stuff. Like I want
For sure.
that energy. But I'm gonna find this thing. When people like, you know, just drop things. I feel like everything that you apply to become a professional athlete is still, to me, everything that has to be applied to be a successful entrepreneur. Like, you know, like having a schedule, knowing that, you know,
Right.
having a discipline on making cold calls, and knowing that this is like essentially for you would you say running ladders or running
Yeah.
steps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Footwork drills. Yep. For
Yeah,
sure.
you know, so everything is a process and everything has its steps. And that's like, no matter whether it's on the field, off the field, I just think to be successful in general takes all these things that you talked about, you know, and like
sure.
being aware enough to apply them on a daily basis. Like, you know?
Right.
So before we do wrap up, I do want you to just take a second to, because I definitely heard you earlier say that you would let people reach out to you if they wanted to learn how to start an LLC or how to understand.
For sure.
things. So I do want to make sure that I give those people opportunity, because I'm sure that there's going to be some, you know, ambitious young kid listening who's like, dang, like, you know, if he can do all that, he's still playing, but he still has these companies and these businesses and he's doing this. Like, I could do it too. Like, you know, I want to be more than an athlete. How do they reach out to you, either your foundation or you personally, however?
Yeah. My Instagram, you can reach me directly, Chris Randle _AD. I have a real estate page as well. It's still Chris Randle. You can meet me there. Got my link tree. You can find all my links from there. But yeah, I'm here to help. I feel like that's one of the things that I kind of focus in on is like, what are you here for? What are you trying to do? Like, and I want to be able to help kids maximize, you know, their potential. So if you feel like you need help in any way and I can help you achieve any type of dream, feel free to reach out.
No, for sure. And thank you so much for taking like time to come and sit and talk with my crazy self and Damari's crazy self. We dropped so much information. I think anyone even just who didn't even understand the back end process of, you know, what it's like to get into these industries, and then just the mindset that you have such an amazing like mindset and very positive. And I think that a lot of other young athletes are going to take to that, and they probably already do take to it. So I just thank you for even having that energy and bringing it onto this podcast.
Sure.
We're going to let you go. So what are you at? You're doing some real estate right now?
Doing some real estate right now. Just had a workout session earlier. Now it's just, this is the routine. I work out, get up at 5, do what I'm supposed to do, take care of myself, then I take care of my son, come up in here and do my due diligence with the real estate, and then yeah, it's back to the house, take care of my wife. You know what I'm saying? Just do my daily routine, and yeah, that's what it is for today.
And then wait, that one was just has COVID messed up the season for you guys?
Oh yeah, so CFL is canceled completely, so we can't even get
Oh,
across the border. Yeah, so I'm a part of the Players Association. So we were negotiating a new bargain agreement, had everything in place to have the league be successfully ran, but the CFL is not as big as the NFL, cannot operate and do a bubble and do all those tests on their own. So we needed funding from the government, and it was just such a last minute thing. Even though we got a bargain agreement in place with the owners and the players, it was just too much for the country of Canada to handle when they have all these other needs that they need to be met by the government. So we was not able to get the funding. So this year is actually nullified, no season this year. 32, no football. I'm glad I have these things in place for me to kind of
right.
just bounce up on and continue to move forward. The marathon continues, as Nipsey would say. So I'm just head down with it and doing real estate full go. So if you looking to buy in 2020, you
I
understand how
am.
investment
We're gonna talk.
goes. What's up?
Listen,
We
this is
talk.
like
Holla
my
at me.
year of like, I just got my credit up, you know? I'm
Oh, let's
like, I
go.
want some property now. Like, I don't know if I
Let's
want to buy
go.
property
That's
in
the
Los
key.
Angeles County, but I do want to buy some property in Merced for sure.
What's
Um,
up? Yeah, holla at me.
all right, bet. See what he said. And did you guys hear him say that he would be giving me a 50%? I'm like,
Whoa.
want to make sure
Friends
we
don't
got,
give friends
make
discounts.
sure we got that on
We
recording.
support each other.
All right, thank you so
I'm
much
with
for
you.
tuning in. I'm about to turn you off the TV. You guys in the comments say bye. No, bye, Chris. Thank you so much for tuning in.
No problem. No problem.
I'll get this to you once I figure I stop recording now. All right.
Hey, wait. Shout
What?
out to you though. Shout out
Oh,
to
yeah.
you. You've been on this grind for a long time, man. I respect your hustle 100%. When you hit me, there was no question in my mind, just based on the energy you put forward, based on the hustle you showed, based on us being from the same spot. There was no question in my mind that I'll hop on this call with you. So just shout out to you. Continue to do what you do. I'll support your movement and appreciate you.
Thank you. That means
No
a lot.
doubt.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going back to my regular screen. You can hang, or I'll hang up on you. Do y'all hear this lawnmower? Where did it come from? Okay, but anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Knowledge is Key. That was good, right? Like, I feel like I learned more, and I don't know if the noise in the background is ridiculous. I apologize that it had to end this way, but I learned so much on these, and I don't want you guys to be bamboozled by this crazy, crazy noise. But you know how I always say, what do I say at the end of my things? Peace.